crops take nutrients off the farm? Can food waste biostimulants bring them back? Are they worth your time and money? In this episode, I'll dig into nutrient imports, exports, how you can calculate flows on your farm, and whether it's worth trying some of these many products that are hitting the market. So how's your winter been so far? It's finally come to my area. For many days, I had walks in temperatures below minus 15 and minus 25 degrees Celsius, with frost covering the trees and any surface exposed to the air. Now we're in the melt as the Chinook winds bring the warm air, but there's still lots of time for a second winter to come before Christmas. Now, if you live south of Calgary, I'll be speaking at an event this week put on by Foothills County. My talk is called The Builder, the Banker, the Brewer, Balancing Soil Physics, Chemistry, and Biology in Prairie Fields. It's a free event in the afternoon of December 11th, and you can register by going to the link in the transcript, and the link for that is in the episode description. So in case you're new here, let me introduce myself. My name is Scott Gillespie, and I'm an Alberta-based author, podcaster, and independent agronomy consultant, specializing in realistic regen ag. I have nearly 2 decades of experience in dryland and irrigated specialty crop systems, working across organic, conventional, and regenerative farms. Through my consulting and through this podcast and my book, Practical Regeneration, Realistic Strategies for Climate-Smart Agriculture, the basis of my advice is simple. It's science-backed practices that promote environmental stewardship and farm profitability. So right now you're watching this on YouTube or you're listening to it on a podcast player. Maybe you're even watching it on Spotify, but you can also get this in a newsletter form, which is just a standard or traditional email newsletter. A LinkedIn newsletter is something that I also do. So there's ways to sign up for those in the transcript. So you just look in the episode description and you'll see transcript link there. So what leaves the farm? What comes back? So let's start with what leaves the farm, because it's the simplest part of the whole conversation. Every time we harvest a crop, nutrients go with it. That part isn't debatable. If nutrients were not leaving the farm, the food would be of no value. We and animals eat it for the nutrients and the energy that it contains. Now, the tricky part is what we tell ourselves about how do we replace those nutrients. When regenerative agriculture started gaining a lot of momentum in the mid-2010s, there was a growing belief that biology could do most of the heavy lifting. That if you did just the right things, you could cycle enough nutrients to stay in balance. So it's a beautiful idea, and I understand why it resonated with so many people. It resonated with me too, but I kept stumbling over the math, especially around phosphorus. Biology can cycle nutrients, can unlock some that were never previously available, but it can't magically replace what isn't there. Now, on the prairies, where our yields are high and improving, we remove far more nutrients in a season than biology can reliably supply on its own. Now, this can work when the system is mostly closed, as it was when the bison roamed the land for thousands of years, but our system sends nutrients hundreds or thousands of kilometers away, never to return to the source. Working with organic producers really reinforces this. Nitrogen can be built with legumes if you take the land out of annual production for a year. But phosphorus, unless manure, compost, or something else enters the system, levels drift downward over time. It's not dramatically in 1 year, but you can absolutely see the trend when you look at soil tests across 5, 10, or 20 years. Soil tests tell stories, and one of the clearest stories they tell is whether a farm is consistently replacing what it removes. Sometimes we think we are, and then the tests quietly will say otherwise. To dive deeper into this, please check out the Better Farming Prairies article from this month, Imports versus Exports, the only soil balancing you need to do. And again, it's in the episode transcript, and you'll see that in the link in the description. Now, on the other side of the ledger is everything we try to bring back onto the farm. Historically, that's been fertilizer or manure, but over the last decade, that landscape has exploded. Fertilizer prices shot up, and suddenly every industry with a byproduct, fish, forestry, food processing, municipalities thought, hey, maybe farmers will want this. And some of these products do make sense. Southern Alberta exports almost everything it produces. Very few nutrients come back in any meaningful way. So the idea of waste-derived inputs, in principle, isn't a bad one. But then you get into the biostimulant world, and that's where things get messy. These products don't need proof that they work. By law, fertilizers must prove nutrient guarantees, and pesticides must prove pest control. Biostimulants only need to show that they're safe. That's why we're seeing so many new products on the market. Some are legitimately interesting, some are recycled ideas with new branding, but many are just snake oil. The frustrating part is that some do work, but only in very specific circumstances. The timing has to be right, the crop stage has to line up, the weather needs to cooperate, and the application method does matter. So even with the products that have potential, they don't always show it. To dive deeper into this, please check out the Foothills County article, Nutrient Additives, Sorting the Value from the Hype. The good news is that modern equipment makes testing easier than it ever has been. You don't need a research trial, you don't need flags in the field, you don't need a clipboard. Auto steer and coverage maps help you create skip passes without the product and come back and fill those passes in when you do. You can get more scientifically rigorous with randomization and replication, but honestly, just a few skip passes and a treated area will tell you pretty quickly if there's an effect. Now, if you've tried this from testing something new on your farm and whether it worked or didn't, I would love to hear about it. So you can reply to me. Actually, you can send me a voice message on Spotify, or you can comment on YouTube, or you can just go to my website. Again, if you go to the transcript, you get to my website, and you can just send me a message there too. Now, before I end today, I'd like to leave you with some resources. Now, first of all, if you want to know about soil testing, go back to the last edition. My article, Test Smarter to Spend Less, How Soil Tests Help You Buy the Right Fertilizer at the Right Time. I go over the common soil tests, including soil health tests, and what I look for when I see a soil test. Now, if you want to get a feel for whether your system is replacing what is being sold off the farm each year, there's a couple calculators available. For quick calculation, check out the Prairie Nutrient Removal Calculator. You simply enter the crop type and the yield, and it will tell you how many nutrients go out in the grain. This doesn't count what goes into the growth that ends up staying on the field, which is the straw. Total uptake is higher, but this helps you to see how much leaves each year. Now, to get into more detail, and especially if you manage organically or use organic materials such as compost and manure, I'd encourage you to check out the Nutrient Budgeting app, which is actually just a web page. For this, you need to think about everything that comes onto the farm and everything that leaves. Now, if you buy in feed, either feed this on the field or spread the manure back onto the field, this can be a significant source of nutrients you're bringing back to the farm. You can still add in the chemical fertilizers if you manage conventionally, so you can get a complete picture. And this has been a great addition to my consulting clients when we can see the flow of nutrients and we can then focus our attention on what they're most short on. So again, the links for those will be in the transcript. So thanks for your attention, and if something resonated, please let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Also, sharing this in your social networks, whether a post or a small group of your friends or colleagues or clients, is very much appreciated. You can also support me by picking up my book, Practical Regeneration, or reaching out for agronomy support. And all the information is on my website. And just as I finish this episode, I'm going to insert a video of me walking in the crisp, cold air, the frost and the sunshine, and you'll hear the footsteps of snow crunching under my feet. So here's to growing more, believing less, and always digging a little deeper.